Welcome to Coyote Stencil Shop. When you turn the software on, the first thing you're going to see is this screen. It's got a whole lot going on here. We're going to work our way around it. First thing I'm going to do is have you decide whether you're creating a new stencil or whether you're opening an existing one. We default to create a new one. Let's take a click right there. It's going to have us size up the size of the canvas next. We give you the opportunity to set this canvas size in either pixels, inches, or centimeters. In this case, we're going to go with pixels. 850 by 1100 is the equivalent of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, which is typically what comes out of a printer. Click this. It sizes it up. Personal preference, I like to make it full size so that Windows takes over and you've now got scroll bars on bottom and top. Actually, bottom only, because you can actually put 11 on the screen. Now, let's take a look at this at Coyote Stencil Shop itself. You've got File, Edit, View, Stencil, Selections, Windows. These are all different tools that will help you as you go through and build your project. You have a visual version of it. New stencil, open an existing one, save it, print it. The undo button. Coyote Stencil Shop allows you to do 10 undos, and then you can zoom in and zoom out. That shows you an 8.5 by 11 right there, but if you need to get right in on it, you can zoom all the way down to the pixel level. Down here you've got a color wheel. You click on the color wheel and you can get different colors. This will show you what the present selection is. You can go black or darker versions of any one of those colors. Over here you've got layers and all the functions of layering down in here. And then over here you've got tools, and you've got select, move, modify, pen, erase, fill, shape, text, import, and preview. When you choose a tool, you get tool settings that come along with it, and you can adjust accordingly. One of the things about pen and eraser is that you can either click on these little buttons here and move them up one or rapidly, or you can just actually get in there and highlight it and change it right back to something else by the use of your keyboard. Let's get to work. Let's import a picture. So you click on the import button right here and you get a 4-step process. Step 1 is select an image to import. You can import the image as a picture or you can import the image as a stencil. Here we're going to import it as a stencil. We're going to grab a picture of those two guys that are inside your instructions manual, and I'm going to bring in a chopped up picture of them. You'll see that this picture has been erased, and I did that intentionally to show you a couple things. There's times when you won't want to bring in everything in a photograph, and you will be allowed to crop it. But if you bring in something that is all like this, it will all be black when you bring it in. You probably don't want to do that, but you will see how we can clean that up quickly. You see how my mouse is a pointer right here on the next button? We're going to come up here and miraculously it turns into a cropping tool. That's because we're in step 2, modify the image. You can flip this image, you can mirror this image, you can rotate it. Sometimes pictures are a little off and you can rotate them. You can also undo what you did. Let's get in here and grab just these guys and see what happens. It gets all the clutter out of there, at least as much as we could. We're going to fix this too. This piece right here will come in solid black though when we import. We're in step 2. Step 3, we're going to now add the detail that you're comfortable with to this stencil. You can add a great deal of detail to this, and each picture, depending upon how dense it is, how nice it's been shot originally, there's all sorts of reasons why you can get even more detail. But we cropped a small picture and made it even bigger, and we lost some of the detail on this, but that's okay. You can gain a lot of that back from Coyote. Coyote can do a lot by just sliding these tools back and forth to wherever you find yourself comfortable. Okay, I'm going to suggest that that's probably as good as it's going to get for this picture, right about in here somewhere. Got a little bit of the tailgate. We've got some of the shirt here. We have to get in here and clean some of this up, but let's say that we're done with stencilizing. One more point is that you can reverse these colors. Black becomes white, white becomes black. In certain instances, pictures come in and they don't convert well. Try this button. It may ease your pain. Now we've turned it into a stencil. We're going to finalize it by naming the layer. I'm going to name this one Stencil. And you will see this name appear as a new layer up here in the layers window in just a minute. There are certain other things that you can use in here. Not to worry at this point, they're addressed in the book, and this is the basic level of Coyote at this point. Let's zoom out so that you can see what's happened. When we import this picture in, it comes in dead center, left and right and top to bottom. So if you import a small picture into a large canvas and you can't find it, it comes in blank, zoom out. You may be able to find it because it's probably here and you're up in here looking. First thing we're going to do to this picture is we're going to get in here, we're going to get into the eraser, and I'm going to highlight it and go for about 50 and start knocking down some of this stuff we don't need. You see how easy that is? You see this line I'm getting right there? That's stuff that you need to take into consideration whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, and because it will help you in the fill. But you may not always want to stick with 50 on this size of your eraser either. I'm going to come down here because when this fills, you see this line right here? That will make this area fill by itself. But you may not want to do that, so I just come in here and I knock down that bottom edge almost every time because I get rid of any any lines that came through with the process of the import. What I would probably do from here is come back in, adjust this to maybe 5, and get in here and clean this guy's head up a little bit so he looks a little bit more realistic. And again, the amount of detail you want to do to this is up to you. Zoom in and you can see your product or your process will even that much cleaner. You can get right down to the level that you want to get to by a combination of zooming in, zooming out, and the size of the tool that you're using. You see this? We're doing a great deal of detail work right here, and getting the process done the way we want. Now let's zoom back out. You can see that we've done some things. Let's say that this is exactly the way you want to do this. This is exactly the project you want to do. You don't want to clean up anymore. You're just ready to go. You're going to want to find out whether or not you're going to have any materials fallout in your project. And Coyote helps you do that. You hit this preview button down here. And two things. We will show you how you can map colors for multiple woods. But first off, we're going to, in the process, you want to look at the fallout preview. Watch what happens here. Wow, lots of red. This red and this yellow will fall out if you take this to a bench right now and scroll it out, because they're not attached to anything out in the outside of the other parts of the wood. So you have to finish this preview. I'm going to come up and straighten up these guys' two heads right here, and watch how easily this is done. I'm going to come back out here, get rid of this section right here, and watch what happens. Clean up, get out a finished preview, come back to erase. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than normal, maybe 10 or 11, doesn't matter. But watch, I'm going to get rid of this side right here. That doesn't change anything with these two guys. While I'm at it, I'm going to get rid of this guy's forehead because it looks kind of goofy. Now watch what happens. Go back to preview, fallout preview, and look what happens to their faces. You're starting to get pieces of it. Now, it didn't get all of it. We're not going to get into that black, but we did. We will get into this red right here on his nose and down here on his chin. And I'm going to come back in and show you how to get right up in here and get rid of that and get some of this nose back in here. You finish the preview, you zoom in, and you can see what was blocking that, this little piece right here. So we're going to go to the eraser. We're going to step it down to probably a 3. These are things that you will learn as you go along. This is not going to change the way this guy looks, generally speaking. Okay? You won't even notice that. Nor will you notice that this guy's glasses have been clipped right there, or that his nose has been clipped right there, or even that his face has been clipped right there. But watch what happens now. Preview, fallout preview. Look at that. Now we got both heads done. And it's just a matter of going back through this thing and knocking this stuff down by getting into the eraser or the pen and doing small things like this. When you hit the preview, hit the fallout preview, now that's cleaned up. See that? Okay, now that helps you get rid of the fallout preview. So I'm going to zoom back out and we're going to talk about, let's assume that all of this has been cleaned up. It's exactly the way that you want it. Now we're going to set it into materials, because Coyote Stencil Shop also allows you to preview this project in woods that you might very well be selecting for the finished project before you ever take it to the bench. You go here instead of, now let's go to finished project, finished fallout. You now go to set up materials preview. A new window will open up, and this window has got 2 tabs on it that you're going to have to adjust, background and foreground. This is the background of your picture right here. The foreground is the black. And you can assign or color map woods, the 30 different woods that Coyote has in its software for you. You can assign those to these 2 different areas. Let's start with the background, and let's say we're going to go Ailanthus. And then in the foreground, we're going to go, you highlight the foreground black right there, because you may have multiple colors, and you'll see that in the intermediate and advanced sections of our tutorials. But for basics, we're going to click this, and then we're going to say OK, and we're going to say show material preview, and look what happens now. You now have the ability to see what your project's going to look like in a Lanthus background and American Black Walnut. Another real nice feature. When you're finished with that preview, you click here, and the last thing that you've got is a chance to go to the print. But before you go to printer, I'm going to show you something that I think has been bothering a lot of people, and it's because they don't fully understand layers. You see how you highlight this one? You just left click on one or the other and it becomes highlighted. The background layer is this stuff behind this thing, so imagine them to be two planes, and one of them is in front of you, which is the stencil, and then behind it is the background layer. If I click on background layer, or no, actually, if I click on stencil layer and I grab the eraser and I set it up there for about 10, and let's make it 40, so no, and I start erasing, take a look. I pretty much ruined this picture, haven't I? Not necessarily so, but I can hit this undo button and everything comes back. Remember, you've got 10 undos. But a lot of guys will say, I'm in here and I'm trying to erase something and I can't get it to erase anything. Look, I've got my mouse pushed and everything's ready to go. It's because you're on the background layer or a different layer than the one that you're trying to affect. Click on the layer that you want to look at and then do it, and it erases, or it adds, or it fills, or it does anything else that you want to do. Nice little feature. Make sure you know where you're at before you make your adjustments. From there, it's just a matter of hitting the printer, and you've printed out, and you have now completed your first successful stencil. We're going to be coming back with the intermediate section. We'll be working with this same picture right here, and we'll show you a quick way to get into multiple woods and do some quick fills.